We have been programmed, slowly programmed. And my whole thing is now, when I say, when I have all these farmers come in, and I've got the 11th largest county in the state of California, agriculture county, about $2 billion. Not large in the sense of land mass, but because of the high crops we have and the dollar amount. But we are sitting there daily trying to protect these farm owners, and because I look at farmers not as the farmer has a little red farm with this little silo up there. These are businesses. These are business owners trying to do a business. And this state is taking away every opportunity for them to do it. You start off with making water so difficult for them to get, as we had talked about. I mean, destroying these people. And if you go down to San Diego, David, you were in San Diego last night. And you're right there, you're right? There's no water, is there? All these orchards are going dry. All these people are losing. And there's no value for that land. There's no use for that land. Your property rights to live the California dream are being taken away because of these rights. And that's what's going on. And so we see that day in and day out. And the little things that come in, as you talk about planning, we look at that. All of a sudden in ours, we want to have, help the farmers grow, but we want to control what goes on. So if they have a big rain and, a little bit of a hillside comes down on top of one of their roads, anytime you move more than 100 yards of dirt or even 50 yards of dirt, you better get a permit to clean your road off. That's how difficult it gets to be. I mean, it's unbelievable of what we're dealing with here. And this is what is happening to you. You are being re-educated. But that's all in, as I hear from every one of my supervisors, well, that's all good government. Whatever got to the point where the government's got to tell me what is good? Whatever happened to you knowing and understanding that you have the rights to say what is right for your property? And what has come to, this is how I look at property nowadays. The idea is that you buy it, you have to pay to maintain it, you got to rent it from the government, even if you own it, you got to pay property tax, right? You have to do it. And then the masses are going to tell you what to do with it, right? That's exactly what it is. In my county, if you went out and spent $3 million to be in a beautiful lot overlooking the valley, now they have it where they can tell you where you put your house, the size of where your house is going to be, what the silhouette will look like, and how it's painted. That's what has happened to your rights. And if we allow this to continue, you will have no rights. As we were talking earlier, we were talking on this issue was, this to me, I believe, the education process has come to this last generation. When enough of these kids grow up understanding that I cannot do what I'd like to do with my property, at this point, I just go along and I'm just herded down the aisle, and that's where I go. That's where we're at. Because again, I hear it all the time. Well, there's nothing we can do. As these people have said, they're telling you that, but it's not in the law, right? It's not in the law. But that's what you're told. Because you don't have people like these gentlemen up here telling you the truth. And unless you're, like she said, unless you're willing to fight and continue to fight, that truth will never be told. That will never, ever be told. And it's your responsibility. People ask, where do you think the Tea Party came from? I can tell you where that came from. David and I were up in Sacramento, was it 4 years ago now, David? Trying to put together a big event on taxes. We worked our tail off, gave away T-shirts, did everything. I think we must have spent $40,000 to get 300 people to show up at the steps of the Capitol. It was unbelievable what it took. Then all of a sudden, people took a look at their government, and they didn't like what they saw. And the next time, we didn't spend a dime. We have 7, 8, 10, 15,000 people at the steps of the Capitol saying, enough is enough. We're not going to pay this. We're not going to do this. And I think you saw the whole Tea Party movement come all across America because they took a look at their government and didn't like what they saw. Because our form of government is, I elect you, and then you go to work as government, and you're supposed to protect my rights. You're supposed to keep my rights. And then all of a sudden, I'm starting to pay attention, and I realize you're taking my rights. You're taking my property. You're taking my life. You're taking away my ability to live the California dream and the American dream. That's what we saw. And so the Tea Party was a group of people that started all of a sudden. It wasn't any one group, because I remember sitting in one of those and going, how many are Democrats? How many are Independents? How many Republicans? It was all across the board. It was just people who believed their rights were being taken from them, and they were now willing to stand up and say, I'm here to take a look at you and to make sure what you do. And I've always said, people who don't vote are going to have somebody influence their life. And if you want to have an influence on who influences your life, you better vote. And that's what's happening. And this exactly what she said. If you don't go out, speak it, talk it, educate it, attend this, put these kind of symposiums on every place, it's all going to be taken from you. It's all going to be taken from you. You know, we as Americans Prosperity, as a free market organization, believe that the people of California, the people of America, understand how to manage their own lives. And that means managing their own property. We did a video just the other day, and let me just read what one of the things we did in this video. Everybody seen our videos? Yeah? You guys seen them? Get on our website if you don't. You're going to see David's face an awful lot. This is what it said. Founding Father John Adams once warned, the moment the idea admitted into society that property is not as sacred as the law of God, and that there is not a force of law and public justice to protect it, anarchy and tyranny commence. We understand that? If it's not as sacred as the law of God, that is what is at stake here. That the idea that your property rights are so sacred, because once they get a hold of your property, something you've worked for, something you slaved for, something you take pride in, and they take it and tell you what they want done with it, everything else is lost. Everything else is lost. That's why you're starting to see the idea that even with health care, do you think health care is about health care? No. Health care is about rights. Because once I tell you, yeah, I'm going to pay for your health care, I tell you what you eat. You can't ride a horse on her parents' ranch because you could fall off and get hurt. You have to wear a helmet when you ride a motorcycle. Whatever it is, because now I control everything you do. That's what you have to understand. This whole thing about, well, we want to have good, sustainable, we want to control this, we want to have everybody live on top, smart growth, have everybody live there together. That's why I don't vote, I hate to say it, if you guys love to ride bikes, I vote against bike trails all the time. Not that they're, I have a bike. Not that they're not bad. Well, first of all, if only 5% of the people ride bikes, I don't want to waste all the money for your road money to go to bike trails. But on the other side, there's a mindset that is put together that you are going to have bike trails. We put all this around, we just do it, and finally, okay, now we can try to control your car. Californians have always realized, I want to live in this car. I'm willing to pay the dollars it takes. So understand that this is what this education piece is. It started, I believe, 100 years ago to slowly start to educate you, and it's like the frog in the pot. We just kept swimming around, and we slowly turned the heat up. And all of a sudden, boom, they turned the heat up really quick, and that's when the Tea Party came out. And they paid attention. But all of a sudden, it's back down a little bit. And even people in Washington are trying to squash the Tea Party movement. And again, I call the Tea Party movement, I don't look at that as a Republican movement. I look at that as just people that care about this country and believe in the rights that we were given under God. Remember, we had a revolution because a king told us what to do, didn't we? And we said, no, we come here because we believe we have inalienable rights from God and we get to make decisions for ourselves. And that government works for us. Now, as we're hearing about the education of what they're trying to do to us, which is to re-educate us into property. And don't ever, ever believe, well, it's only property, it's not that big a deal. It is the core. It is the core. If you read what the original Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, when it talked about property rights, if you go and you talk about that, the pursuit of happiness, it really was the pursuit of property and the property rights. There's a couple reasons because of slavery that was going on in this country at that time. They couldn't put that in there. But that's how strong property rights are. Because if you lose your property right, you lose everything. So listen to everything you're hearing go on here. Everything. Learn it. Be able to explain it. Because I'm telling you, they're going to come at you. They're going to come after you. They're going to demean you. They're going to criticize you when you talk this way. But it is the core of what this country was founded on. It's the core of what your future is, your future to live the California dream. Remember, California, we live here, is the greatest, I believe, the greatest state in the nation. And all of a sudden, in these last few years, we talk about, wow, it's terrible. But is it really terrible? Are all the issues we have really issues? They're all man-made issues. We were talking earlier, 40 years ago, who made more cars than any place outside of Michigan? California. Who had the largest shipyards in the country? California. Who grew more crops than anybody else that fed the world? California. Who had more movies being any place else in the world? California. Who had the greatest defense industry in the world? California. Greatest high tech? California. Greatest place to live? California. Where'd all the new ideas come out of? California. All that was here. Now, I don't see you people looking any different than you did 30, 40 years ago, maybe a little more gray hair. It's all here, but it's man-made problems because of what they believe is important to take your rights away. As I said earlier in an interview on the radio, right now, do you believe somebody with a great idea, a great animator, could all of a sudden say, I want to take this animation and make the greatest place on earth? Could that happen in California? Could he go to Anaheim, take a strawberry field and turn it into Disneyland in California? Never happened, would it? Never happened. That was the kind of place California used to be. And because out of our prosperity, we always put a little extra burden. We did a little extra on air, a little extra on water. We did all that. But we said that was okay. But what's happened now is the weight of all this has come onto California, and California now cannot do that any longer. They cannot support it. And so this is our opportunity to say enough is enough and to turn this back. But it's going to be a fight. Let me tell you, it's going to be a fight. And I believe every one of you are up for it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. So thanks again. Hope to talk to you soon again. Thanks.